Hey everyone, Ariel Adams here with a blog to watch. Today I'm going to talk about not a wristwatch, but a ring watch. This is the first ever Casio ring watch. It's the CRW001-1. I think there'll be more. There has to be. This is so cool. It's not the first ever watch ring in the world. For a long time, watchmakers, especially mechanical watchmakers, have been putting small timepieces inside of rings and other things like pendants and brooches and stuff like that. The wristwatch is really the one that stuck. And now for the modern era, people are looking into different ways of accessorizing with a timepiece. And so this sort of fits into the general idea of, yes, we sell you a lot of wristwatches. What else can we sell you that'll tell the time? But there's more to this story than just Casio trying to be trendy. I think there's a lot of really cool elements here that make this an intellectually interesting product, as well as one that's just undeniably really cute. I mean, it's a little ring that looks like a G-Shock that actually works and tells the time and does more than just the time. It's got the chronograph in there and the alarm and a couple of features, even a backlight, which is really, really cool. Now, a lot of people don't realize this, but Casio started as a company making a ring. That was their very first product ever. Didn't tell the time, but it held a cigarette. And it allowed you to smoke a cigarette without having to occupy your hands. You could do other things like work. And that was the first gadget that Casio ever made. It later became a computational gadget company, which is where the wristwatch came out of, effectively a calculator that tells the time you can wear because it was calculating the time and the calendar and stuff like that. This was innovative stuff in the 1970s and especially into the 1980s. And we talk a lot about Casio innovation. Here, the innovation is miniaturization. And if there's anything the watch industry likes, especially the Japanese, it's making things smaller. And so this is an interesting exercise in taking something which is already small, but making it a lot smaller. And to do that, they had to use some very interesting technology and construction. Now, this is a one-piece design. It's made out of steel. I think it's about 20 or 22 millimeters wide, actually, just in comparison to watch diameters. And even though there are some spacers to make it smaller, it's roughly a size 10.5 US ring size. I think that's good to know what the actual ring size is. But again, Casio provides a couple of plastic spacers that I think allow it to wear easily on a smaller wrist, though it is a big ring in the sense of rings, but it's a very small watch. Now, the entire case would have been far too expensive to make with the traditional, what they call CNC machine cut approach, is where this machine will cut all these little angles and things like that. That's too complicated, too expensive for a product like this. It would have had to be way too expensive. So what Casio was able to do is use a relatively newer technology, which is essentially metal injection molding. So similar to plastic injection molding, but with steel. And the result is if you have a good mold, you can come out with something with a very specific, detailed shape that would just be impractical to machine in the traditional milled way. So that's really, really cool. It's a one-piece design and everything goes through the top. So under the crystal, you have everything sandwiched in there, including the battery. It's slated as having a 2-year battery life, and I read in detail on the Casio website as well as the user manual. It does not explain how you can change the battery. It's not solar powered. You do have to change the battery. I think you have to send it to Casio or something like that because, again, it's all sandwiched in there. There's no way of using a screwdriver, sort of opening it up. So that's an interesting unanswered question is how do you change the battery? We know you can. Casio can. I'm not sure if the user can. So that's an interesting thing to think about when getting this is that while you can replace the battery, you might need to take it to a place to do so. Not particularly expensive, though. So I think it's a small price to pay for such a cool little item. So a lot of technology, undeniably interesting, actually convenient to tell the time, though I don't know if I'd give up my wristwatch. Though as an extra accessory, it's really fun. And honestly, I think it looks really cool, too. The Casio ring watch CRW001-1 has a retail price of $120, and you can see more on a blog to watch. Thanks.